have. So with us today, we have Eric Keski, who's the manager of the Business Alliance for the United States Postal Service. We have Nick Brandt, who's from the Business Alliance Group. We have Bob O'Neill, who's the production manager from Bolger Direct. We have Greg Bruns, the Bolger Postal Compliance Coordinator. And then we have Mary Ellen Smith, who is our Bolger Senior Account Representative who works with the BHS account and who's always very helpful in answering all of our questions. So with that, I am going to go ahead and turn the call over to Mary Ellen Smith from Bolger.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mary Ellen. We welcome you today and thank you for the opportunity to present this mailing information. We hope you enjoy the presentation, and I will now turn it over to Eric Kelsey from the Post Office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Just want to talk a little bit about nonprofit standard mail. This portion of the presentation is intended to help you understand the reduced rates of nonprofit standard mail and the application procedures for becoming authorized to mail at nonprofit rates. So the agenda is basically we're going to lay out how to, the background of where nonprofit mail began, who's eligible and who's not, how to apply for nonprofit pricing, the requirements to mail, and some of the resources in case you have questions that are, we don't address in the presentation today. The nonprofit standard mail prices represent a true benefit to eligible mailers versus regular standard mail prices, or about 40% savings. Congress created an exception for designated nonprofit organizations in legislation, and certain nonprofit organizations were exempt from increases in what was called third-class mail. Since that time, these nonprofit organizations have enjoyed lower prices in what is now called standard mail. In 1978, Congress included in legislation authorization for qualified political committees, and as part of the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. Organizations may use DBA or doing business as, or AKA, as also known as, name if the name is shown on the authorization to mail at the nonprofit prices. Before considering becoming an authorized user of nonprofit standard mail, you must first consider whether mailings are eligible for regular pre-sort standard mail prices. That is, there is no single piece nonprofit price. The definition of standard mail is matter not required to be mailed as first class, consisting of printed matter or merchandise weighing less than 16 ounces. The starting point for considering whether mailing may be eligible for pre-sorted standard or nonprofit standard mail prices, a minimum mail piece amount consists of 200 pieces or 50 pounds. The requirements for mailing at reduced pre-sorted prices are the same as regular mail standards and the same for authorized nonprofit mailers. There are the eligible categories for mailing at nonprofit rates. The first 8 are the original 8 types of nonprofit organizations named by Congress in 1951. Since not all organizations that are nonprofit are eligible to be authorized, it's important to note that Congress, not the Postal Service, designates the type of organizations eligible to be authorized to mail at nonprofit prices. The Postal Service views its role as an administrator of the will of Congress in determining eligibility of nonprofit standard prices. So, how to apply? To begin the nonprofit prices process, excuse me, I'm getting a little dry in the mouth here. We have these. You have to complete the Form 3624 application for nonprofit standard mail rates. This application is available online or at any postal service. Take the completed form and supporting documents and submit them to the post office where the organization plans to mail at the nonprofit prices. This is online as well, available online. While pending, the organization must pay postage at regular standard prices in order to be eligible for a refund of the difference between nonprofit and standard until the application is approved. Refunds are not authorized by pending entering first-class prices for mailings prior to the effective date of the authorization, or if the application is denied. The Form 3624, to support the organization's eligibility for nonprofit prices, attach the copies of the following documentation to the 3624. Formative papers. The applicant organization must submit evidence of its primary purpose. These papers include articles of incorporation, constitution or charter, trust indenture, enabling legislation or similar documentation. The Form 3624, evidence of submit with form. So the nonprofit status, the copy of the letter of exemption from payment of federal income tax issued by the Internal Revenue Service. That's where you're going to get your number from, is the IRS. And then any supporting documents from financial statements that are prepared from a CPA. The local post office or BMU reviews the application and sends that to our pricing and classification in New York City. The process takes about 2 weeks to approve it, and if approved, the difference in the postage between the regular standard mail that you've mailed during the process, the application time period, and the nonprofit prices is refunded back to you. Once an organization is authorized, it may mail at nonprofit standard prices at any post office location that accepts resorted mail. The Postal Service will issue a national nonprofit standard authorization number. Each organization authorized to mail at a nonprofit standard mail. Authorized organizations must display the number in the appropriate postage statement that accompanies mail for nonprofit rates. Any organization wishing to mail at nonprofit non-postal one post office has additional forms that they'll have to accompany the mailings, and it's a Form 3623. And your local post office that you deal with will be able to tell you if you need that additional form. One of the criteria is mailing frequencies. So if the organization must make at least one mailing at nonprofit rate during a 2-year period to retain the authorization to mail at the nonprofit rate. Revocation for non-use occurs when no mailings were made at any post office during that 2-year period. Some of the resources for questions beyond Bolger and their team at the Postal Service is the Pricing and Classification Center, Customer Support Rulings, Publication 417, and the Domestic Mail Manual, which is available at the Postal Explorer online. Okay, now we've got through most of the nonprofit questions. Yeah, is there any questions about that section?
Eric, this is Carolyn. I have a question in regard to, you know, as far as our business goes, being, you know, senior health care, senior living, nonprofit, we're also a religious entity or a religious organization. Do you see any problem with us meeting those requirements, or is that a given?
Well, it's not necessarily, this is Nick, sorry, from the Postal Service. It's
Uh-huh.
not necessarily a given. In the past, I have seen some companies that were authorized as nonprofit by the Internal Revenue Service, but did not meet Postal Service qualifications. So just because you're a nonprofit in one entity doesn't necessarily mean that you'll meet the criteria for the Postal Service. I'm not talking about BHS particularly, but just in general. From what I can see thus far, I don't foresee that obtaining nonprofit status would be an issue for BHS.
Oh, okay, and I know some of our locations have, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Nick is really qualified. He works over at the BMEU, and he's the mailing standards specialist. So we kind of got the expert in that category in the room. So that's a nice thing.
Thank you.
So moving on. Any other questions, I should say? Okay. Well, we'll move on to the Business Mail 101 part of the presentation. So we want to talk a little bit today about the discount availability, how to qualify for discount mail prices, resources to help you prepare your mail, how to design a mail piece, and how to obtain a address list and choose the best postage method for your mail piece. So just some of the different classes available, starting with first class. It's required for personal correspondence, handwritten or typewritten letters, bills, credit cards, invoices, or account settlements. Standard mail encompasses many types of mail: advertising catalogs, circulars, and newsletters, nonprofit, pre-sorted, and automation rates available on standard mail. And the estimated delivery time for this class of mail is 3 to 10 days. So, commercial mail. What is discounted mail? Is it right for you? The term commercial mail refers to large quantities of mail prepared for mailing at reduced commercial postage rates. So discounted and pre-sort prices are discounted from single piece price. Single piece means that you pay the full postage price. When you put a 49-cent stamp on a letter, you're paying the single piece price. Many mailers pay single piece price even though they are producing large mailings. Why? They don't want to perform the extra mail preparation. They don't have time. It just is not cost effective for the business, or they simply are unaware that there is a commercial mailing. The Postal Service offers discounts for bulk mailings because you performed some of the work that otherwise would have to be done by the Postal Service. Everyone benefits from the work share. Mailers make an investment in time and technology and save on postage costs, and the Postal Service's costs are reduced. The key things to remember about discounted mailing are: discount mail prices are significantly lower than single piece, can accommodate a variety of business needs. The more you send, the more you save. In order to mail at discount or pre-sort prices, you'll need a mailing permit, pay postage using one of the 3 methods: pre-canceled stamps, postage meter, or permit imprint. Make smart choices about the size, shape, and weight of your mail piece. Ensure that your addresses are accurate. Pre-sort the mail pieces. Take your mail to the post office where your permit is held, and choose. The choices you make can result in significant postage savings. So, mailing permit. A mailing permit is the permission to use a certain postage payment method of commercial mailings. There is no fee for applying for the permit to mail, but with pre-canceled stamps or a postage meter. There is a one-time fee of, I'm correcting there, it's $2.15 for the application fee currently, to mail with a permit imprint. This is a one-time fee that pays for setting up your permit account. So some tips to remember: a permit is a permission to mail at discounted prices regardless of how you pay for postage. A permit imprint is a way of paying postage. Many mailers get a permit to mail with permit imprint. They get those mixed up. If no mailings are made or annual fee paid during that two-year period again, then your permit is considered inactive. So some of the minimum quantities to get the pre-sort pricing is 500 pieces for first class, 200 pieces or 50 pounds for standard, 300 pieces for bound and printed matter, and 300 pieces for library mail and media mail. So again, we'll talk a little bit about the annual fee, and sorry I didn't correct this. It's $215 for the annual fee. Paying the annual fee gives you the permission to certain mailing for 1 year, and there is a way of funding that permit through a centralized account payment system, which is electronically transfer the fees and the funds for postage without having to bring a check down to the Postal Service. Annual fees must be paid at every post office where you intend to mail. Pay when you bring in the first mailing and is good for 365 days. Pre-canceled stamps are special stamps available in specific denominations for first class mail and standard mail. There's one caveat is you'll only be able to put one stamp on an envelope at a time. Pre-canceled stamps are available in 4 denominations. You got your 25-cent first class, your 15-cent first class postcard, 10-cent regular standard, and 5-cent nonprofit standard. Postage meter is another method of paying for postage. It prints postage directly on the mail piece or on a tape, which is then applied to the mail piece, and the meter size varies by need. We do have authorized vendors that we work with, and there's a list of those here. Some of the more notable ones is that we work with Hassler, Neopost, Pitney. The third payment solution is the permit imprint. It's the most popular and convenient way to pay postage. Postage information is printed in the upper right corner of the mail piece, and that postage block is called the indicia. The permit imprint is used to set up a postage. Oh, okay, sorry. Permit imprint is set up an account for the Postal Service. Postage deducted from the account. All pieces must weigh the same weight. That's one of the keys for pre-sort. Now, if I'm going too fast through these slides, or if you have questions along the way, do feel free to slow me down or ask the question. That's fine. So the permit imprint is a simple and convenient way of paying the postage. You could use a rubber stamp to imprint. No need to buy postage in advance. Now we'll talk a little bit about the Mailpiece Characteristics. So the Postal Service separates mail into 4 shapes: cards, letters, large envelopes or flats, and then parcels. Different rates and preparation standards depend on the shape. And we have resources as the BMEU, where Nick, my coworker, works. Otherwise, the Mailpiece Design Analyst System throughout the country, they are also very good at answering questions about mail pieces. So just a little bit about some of the different standards of each type of physical standards of each of the mail pieces. So postcards, max and minimum, are 4 1/4 at the max by 6 by 3 1/2 by 5 at the minimum. Letters, the maximum is 6 1/8 by 11 1/2, and the minimum is 3 1/2 by 5. The physical standards for flats, the maximum is 12 by 15, so you can really get a really big message out there if you'd like. And then the minimum is 6 1/8 by 11 1/2. All flats must be flexible, uniform thickness, and rectangle in shape is a key point. We have a couple of slides that address that, and we'll just kind of go through those quickly. So uniform thickness is very important, and then the flex test for flats, there's got to be at least a 2-inch minimum. And then again, as they turn them to the side, the different flexible tests as well for both of the side and the top. Okay. And then also there's standards for automating the flats as well. If your mail piece does not meet the standards for flats, it will be considered a parcel. So that's kind of a key point, is if you're thinking about doing a large flat piece, and it, for whatever reason, let's say you put a pen in there or something, then it becomes uneven, it could actually jump it into a parcel category, and then the prices could be impacted negatively. So if you have a proposed piece that you want to mock up, talk to Mary Ellen here, and she'll bring that over to us, and we'll make sure that it qualifies as a flat and doesn't get bumped up into a more expensive category of parcel. Okay, the physical standards of machinable parcels. First of all, the post office has 3 types of parcel categories. There's machinable, irregular, and outside. So with these machinable parcels are basically able to be run through our automated equipment. So here's some examples of for irregular parcels and how we'd have to handle these a little bit differently. And then lastly, the outside parcels, which we can't put on any kind of equipment to sort, so they would have to be hand sorted throughout the system. Okay, now I'll talk a little bit about the classes of mail. So we have machinable, non-machinable, and automation. Once your mail piece has been determined to be a letter flat or a parcel, it must be categorized, and that's where the machinable, non-machinable, or automation. Okay. On the mail pieces, there's also barcodes that are put on there. They're called intelligent mail barcodes, and they basically represent where that mail piece is destined to, right down to the delivery point. Automation priced mail is 100% barcoded and prepared for the high-speed mail processing. Prices available for letters, cards, flats, large envelopes, and even parcels. Address accuracy is very important. You'd want to send it to an address where they've moved, and then your message is missed. So it's important to obtain accurate lists and check those addresses for accuracy. So address accuracy, some of the keys to a successful mailing is know your audience, get your message delivered, and use a great mailing list. The Postal Service does not sell address lists, but the Postal Service has products and services that help mailers check and standardize addresses and keep your list up to date. You can buy or rent a mailing list. You can look up in the Yellow Pages or Google it, and you should be able to find list vendors in your area that you could utilize. Some of the statistics about why you want to have a accurate mailing list is 17% of America moves annually. 44 million people move every year. About 1 out of 6 families move every year. So your mailing list could go bad pretty quickly if you are not keeping it up to date. For pre-sorted standard mail and first-class mail rates, zip codes must be checked for accuracy within at least 12 months of the mailing date. When you complete and sign a postage statement, you certify your mailing qualifies for the rates claimed. So the Postal Service also has some resources to help with quality checks on that. So we have the USPS.com is that you're able to look up zip codes. If you put it in a single address, you'll be able to check and make sure that the zip is good. Process your address list through our CAS system, Certified SIS software, And then address list correction service is another avenue that we have available. And then lastly, we also have a service called NCOA, National Change of Address Link, which is a way of going through and making sure you catch the forward of your customers. Another part of the address qualifications is the move update, which is required on all pre-sort first class and standard mail within 95 days of the date of mailing. So that has to run through that system and update to make sure that there's all the people that have moved is out of that mailing list. And NCOA link includes the move update. So just some basic information on preparing your mail. First, you want to get your supplies, pre-sort your letter mail, prepare the containers, sacks, and trays, prepare a postage statement, and drop off your mail at the business mail entry unit. The Postal Service supplies some of the following items: trays, tray sleeves, bundle labels, container labels, labeling lists, quick service guides which help answer questions, and postage statements online. So pre-sorting your letter mail, grouping it by zip code, and you can get assistance from Pre-Sort Bureau. Bolger would be able to help you with that as well. So containers, some of the preparation again for the mail is trays must be sleeved and strapped for letter mail, fixed correct label in each tray, and secure each tray with a single strap around its length. While you're preparing the mail, then the postage statement is the document that you're going to submit with the mailing. The documents, the number of pieces in your mailing, and the postage that you're going to be paying. Includes areas for the company name and the permit, and there's a shaded area that the mailer, unshaded area where the mailer must complete. Okay, where do you drop your mail? It's your business mail. You would take it to your mailing office where you've got your permit held. There's some resources right here. This is where you're able to actually locate it if you have a question. The business mail entry unit is located. It's got another couple of links there for you. So what you need to take to the Postal Service: signed and dated postage statement, supporting documentation, check or cash to cover the additional cost of postage, and check your annual fee. Make sure that that is paid for at that time too.
And Eric, is it true that they still don't accept credit cards?
That is correct.
Do they still not take cards? Okay.
Yeah, not this time.
Are they looking in the future?
Well, it actually kind of depends on where your permit is being held.
Oh, okay.
I know locally at the Twin Cities, BMEU in Eagan, and then, in Eagan anyway, we don't have a, for lack of a better term, like a cash register that we use. So that's the reason why we require a check.
Okay.
If you're in a smaller town, let's say Worthington, Minnesota, they have that type of equipment out there. I believe they are able to take a credit card.
So it just depends.
Varies by location.
It varies by location, correct.
Okay.
Well, another thing is if you were to get a master CAPS account, you could actually have individual sites could link to that account, and then they could fund their mailings and their permit from that as well. So that might be a kind of a enterprise solution for the whole group.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now we just kind of have a checklist here. Decide on the class of mail, create your mail piece, obtain an address list, check for accuracy, address your mail, choose your postage method, obtain a mailing permit, pay your annual fee, pick up your supplies, and sort your mail. Here are a couple of important resources. The Mailpiece Design Analyst, that group is, there's an 800 number, and there's also a link email address that you could send questions to, and then you'd be put in queue. We also have quick service guides. The Postal Explorer is very informative. Mail Pro, and then also we have a new website, Postal Pro Beta, which is driven by Google, so we get really good answers really quickly from that. Also, just here locally in the Northland District, or in we have different districts. The northern part of the state is probably going to be part of the Dakotas district, and then this is considered Northland District here in the cities area in western Wisconsin. You also have resources. You have your mailing requirements office. You got your business mail entry manager, your mailing standards specialist, Nick, who's sitting right next to me, supervisors at your local BMEU, and then bulk mail techs that work in those offices. And then lastly, some more resources. We have USPS.com that can calculate the price for you from a postcard to a letter to a flat to a parcel, the domestic mail manual, and that can be located at the Postal Explorer on the bottom of the page. Okay, any questions on that section?
You know, I have an indicia question in regard to nonprofit indicias. We've been flagged at the post office. We have been using one indicia for both our charitable contribution foundation mailing and our marketing mailing, and I believe we were told that those were supposed to be separate. Do you know anything about that? Because we've never separated them before, but all of a sudden we got flagged one time.
Was that locally?
Locally, yes.
Okay. I do believe they are supposed to be separate.
And do you know why? I mean, what the is it just all mailings versus charitable mailings, or are there any other categories that need to be separated?
No, there wouldn't be. Now the two separate entities they're both have nonprofit status. Is that correct?
Yes. It was
Okay.
for one of our facilities, and it was, a newsletter mailing versus a foundation, charitable giving type letter. So, and they were told that those two needed to be under a different indicia number.
I don't know about that. Carolyn, I'll check into that when I get back to the office. The only thing I can think of is maybe the content that was inside the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Do you have some samples of it that we could maybe
I'll look into it a little bit more and get the specifics. And then we had a secondary issue, and that was, one of our entities has 3 locations, and we were told that each location also had to have their own indicia. Is that also the case, or do you know anything about that?
Oh, okay. You're talking about their own
Serenity
nonprofit
Senior Care has three different locations within the Twin Cities, so one in White Bear and 2 in St. Paul, and they said that they should each have their own indicia number instead of sharing one, even though we're the same company.
No, as long as we can link and we can, we need to confirm, obviously, that, you know, all 3 locations are under the administrative and financial control of, you know, whatever the nonprofit authorization. As long as we can confirm that, we should be able to link all 3 sites to the same nonprofit authorization number.
Okay,
I can work with you on that.
Yeah, let's talk. Is this Nick or Eric I should work with?
This is Nick.
Nick, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can work with both of us, but Nick's the expert in that exact field. That's why I invited him along.
Sure. Yeah, we've had a lot of questions about those indicias. Other folks might have questions too. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd like to see some specifics as far as the indicias are concerned. Based on, you know, it does depend on what you're trying to accomplish as far as how the indicia is to be designed, so to speak. But I can work with you with that. I would highly suggest definitely working with us before you print anything or have anything printed, so that we can get the design aspect taken care of, and we got a good mail piece from the get-go. That way there's no issues down the line that could cause delays to the mail piece or things like that. So if we get ahead of it before you start producing or printing, you know, the pieces, I would highly recommend that.
And that's basically what my role is with the Business Alliance Group, is to help in planning the piece at the beginning so that we aren't sitting at the BMEU looking for an exception letter. So that's why we work with Bolger at the beginning.
Great.
So,
yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm almost done. I got a couple more slides, but these are actually going to probably be more exciting because there's an opportunity to get a discount on mailings. So
even more of a discount.
Yeah, more of a discount. Yeah. So the Postal Service has a promotion going this year. They have 6 different promotions, and I guess the first one I would like to point out is, or I should ask, is, do you have any mailings where you have business reply envelopes inside that are coming back with donations or anything like that?
Our newsletters sometimes have envelopes for for charitable giving.
Okay. Well, in that case, that earned value reply at the very top there is an opportunity. So every one of those return envelopes that come back could, it's a business reply or a courtesy reply, you'll be able to get a nickel per piece that will go into a permit for future mailings. The key is we have to have anybody signed up by December 31st, or they're not able to participate for that first 6 months. So if that's something that you guys want to explore, get in touch with Mary Ellen and we'll get you guys hooked up.
So you just sign up and say you might be interested in doing it over the next 6 months? Is that how it works? Is it detailed to do?
There's no thresholds or anything. So yeah, if you happen to have a mailing that's going to go out, the key is we just have to enroll you before the end of this year.
Oh,
yeah, there's no cost. Yep. Yeah. So the opportunity is there to add that business reply piece. So
I guess I would encourage folks to do it then if they're if they use envelopes, that I'll go ahead and sign up just to be safe in case they might want to use it later.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. And we can
where
help you get that.
Where would we sign up for that?
Well, it's on the Business Customer Gateway through the USPS.com. It's at the very bottom. There's a link to that. If you have questions about that, I do have a step-by-step PDF that I can send out with that information. And the critical thing is we have to have your mailer ID linked to a permit. So there may be some questions that I'll be able to help answer, or we'll get in touch with the Business Customer Gateway and they'll be able to link your mailer ID and the permit.
So this is Carolyn Robertson. Go ahead and send any communication through me, and then I can get it out to the group. Or maybe we could talk tomorrow about what might be most appropriate. That'd be great.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I'll just go quickly through the next couple of promotions here. You got the Color Trans promotional, and that's for bills or invoices if you do that. The Standard Mail or First Class Emerging and Advanced Technology has, if you were to use some type of augmented reality or QR code there's different criteria, and you put that on the mail piece, you'd be potentially could get 2% discount on that if it qualifies. Tactile, sensory, and interactive. So if you have a picture of a basketball on the mail piece and you can actually feel the dimples in that, that would qualify, and that would be 2% as well. And then if you have maybe some sites that haven't mailed before, we have a direct mail starter, and that's you get a 10% discount or 5% discount off the first 10,000 pieces in a mailing. And then lastly, one of our more popular is a mobile shopping promotion, and that's for items that you would scan with a smartphone or smart device, and then you're able to purchase it from that smart device. So we've had, I'll just do a quick recap as well. There was 2015, we had 4 promotions. We had almost 1,500 participants, and over 8 billion mail pieces were impacted, getting $48 million in credits to customers and over $10 million to future mailings through that earned value credit. In 2016, we had 5 promotions, and we expanded some of those promotions from 3 to 6 months, and we split the tactile and the emerging technologies into 2 different promotions. And now in 2017, we have 6 promotions. Majority of them are expanded to 6 months, and we do have that new direct mail starter. And then we understand that digital is here to stay, so we're just trying to make direct mail relevant and interact with that mail piece and social media. So here again is just a quick snapshot. The earned value is a 5 cent per piece during that 6 months. And then the direct mail starter promotion, 5% off the first 10,000 pieces that they mail. And here are some resources that are at our RIB site for explaining each of the promotions.
Is there a minimum piece for those? Like, is it a minimum of 1,000 or 5,000, or doesn't the minimum matter?
No minimum.
No minimum. That's good.
Okay, Mary Ellen, did you go?
Yes. Thank you so much for our opportunity to talk with you today, and we hope you enjoyed the presentation. We will give Carolyn contact information so that she has that available. And if you have any further questions, we're here.
Yeah, and we've got a little, do you all have time for if there's any questions right now? Because I know now's your time, everyone. We have all the experts from, both the mail house side and the Postal Service. So I know there have been a lot of questions. Does anyone have any right now? No questions?
Don't be shy.
Now's your chance, honestly. All right, then. Mary Ellen, anything else, or any of you, anything from a Bolger side you want to talk about quickly, Mary Ellen?
Well, I am happy to help any of you with any print work that you have. I have been working mostly with Ann and Julie Sellers in the Duluth office. And if you've got any questions or you have any needs, please feel free to contact me. I'll make sure that you get my contact information. We love Benedictine. We love you guys. So give us more. We're willing to do whatever we can for you.
Well, thank you all so much for all the great information. So, yeah, go ahead and send me anything for the group, and we'll get it out to them. And from the VHS side, yeah.
Dina, just so everybody knows, we've recorded this webinar, and we will